Good morning and welcome back to the channel. My name is Wajaha and today we are going to talk about how to earn yield on one of my favorite assets. Now, for those of you who have been following, you'll know that one of my favorite assets at the moment, and of course this can change over time, is Frax, and Frax Share is their governance token, a token that I hold in my 0 to 6 figure portfolio. For those of you who haven't watched that series, after this one, go and have a look. Today what we're going to do is talk about the different ways to earn yield on Frax Share, and there's a few different ways. I did tweet about it, so go and have a look there. But basically we're going to go through each of the different methods that I talked about and kind of just talk you through how it works, the yields, blah 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 blah, and just some of my thoughts on each of them as well. Okay, so without further ado, here's my tweet. You can see that I wrote about a lot about some of the different projects and different protocols that enable you to earn yield and some of the different strategies that you can participate in. So we'll start with number one, and this is going directly to Frax Finance and locking your FXS into veFXS. It's very easy to do this, and all you need to do is just basically enter however many Frax shares you have, and you'll get your veFXS. And of course you can lock this for up to 4 years, and depending on how many or how long in terms of weeks you lock for, you'll get a bonus in terms of how many veFXS you get. In doing so, veFXS holders are eligible for all of some of the fees that the Frax protocol as a whole makes. And on top of that, so you can find this over here, and you might think that it is a little bit low, which to be fair it is, but what you'll find is that this doesn't encompass all of the earnings that you can make from this, and some of the other earnings come from bribes. So you can go to a market like this is Vote Market by Stakedao, and there's a variety of bribes here that veFXS holders can participate in, and you can see the APR does increase somewhat substantially. If you encompass them together, you're looking at almost 10% there. So that is a nice way to obviously earn yield, the kind of gold standard way. Of course, you participate in governance as well, which I think for something like Frax is probably more important than others. And of course, you do also get the income coming from staked Frax ETH, and I think with Shanghai coming pretty soon, maybe we'll see some sort of rejuggling in this liquid staking derivative game, and perhaps some of the market share that Lido or Coinbase have will shift over to Frax. So we'll have to wait and see for that. But if that is the case, then veFXS is going to earn a lot more revenue, and that will be beneficial for token holders, of course. So we'll have to wait and see how that, of course, plays out. So this is basically veFXS, and I hope everything that I've explained there has made sense. We'll move on to Convex, and Convex have basically tried to accumulate as much FXS as possible, and they do this by having one of their liquid auto compounders here. So what you can do is you can take your FXS to Convex and you can stake it, earning around 20% a year. Now what happens is when you do this, you first of all convert your FXS into Convex FXS. Now I don't recommend doing this. Instead, what I recommend is going to Curve and swapping your FXS into Convex FXS, and that's because CVX FXS is actually off peg. It's not 1-to-1, it's actually around 0.9 to 1, and so by swapping it, you'll obviously get a much better rate. But yeah, you are able to earn a fairly high reward at the moment. Where's this coming from? Pretty much half and half coming from in Convex rewards, and half coming in the form of FXS, or just slightly above half anyway. And this has grown pretty well, already 22 million in TVL. I think Convex is well known, has been around, tried and tested. Of course, there are still risks here, especially with the peg, so be aware of that. But otherwise, I think this is a good place to earn yield. Let's move on to Stakedao, and Stakedao have a similar product, basically a liquid governance token, and again they have these liquid lockers, so you can lock your FXS and earn up to 16% here. You may be thinking this is a little bit less than Convex, and that's because Stakedao do give you a few other benefits. So with Convex, you are not eligible for any bribes, you are not eligible for any voting power, so there's no governance, you kind of give that away. But with the Stakedao tokens, you do actually have both of them. So maybe if you add in the bribes and the kind of effect for governance, then maybe you'll find that Stakedao offers a better reward for you there. So have a look. I mean, pause the video here if you want to kind of focus on this chart and see some of the benefits that Convex or Yearn or some of these other protocols offer. Yeah, that's pretty much Stakedao, and you can earn a nice 16% there as well. Of course, again, remember these are liquid lockers, and the Stakedao FXS token again is off peg, so they're not directly at peg, and over time they can lose more peg as well, so just please bear that in mind. Moving on, let's have a look at Concentrator. And Concentrator again have a similar thing. So essentially what happens is you deposit FXS and you'll get a FXS, and essentially the underlying asset is Convex FXS, which is what we talked about over here. This is Convex FXS and FXS, and this is a Convex pool actually. So maybe we can actually go to Convex and find this if we have a search. So here, no, it's not this one. Here we go, it's this one. So the underlying yield comes from this pool. And so you can have a look here, and that's obviously earning around 16%, as you can see here. So the good thing about this is that you don't need to claim or harvest any rewards. It's auto compounding over time. You don't have to do anything, but it's good to know where the income is coming from. So all of this is basically coming in curve rewards essentially. Apologies for my phone buzzing there. Moving on, let's go back to Frax, and we'll talk about a different system, or a different strategy I should say, and that is essentially lending via Fraxlend. And what we can do here is that we can take our FXS and we can lend it out here and borrow Frax against it. And you can see here that lending it costs only around 0.6% a year, and borrowing around 0.7% a year. And what we can do is borrow Frax, and then we can basically use any stablecoin strategy that we want. So you could go really degen if you really wanted to, and kind of earn high yields, or do whatever you want. Everything is up to you. And so you could even swap it for another stablecoin if you wanted to. I was just going to show you, perhaps some other stablecoins, but I'll leave that for another day. Basically, any strategy you want, you can do it. You could go to Curve, Convex. You could even leverage it on some meme coins. You could do whatever you want, as long as you're able to make money. It'll work out for you. So you can basically lend your FXS, borrow Frax against it, do whatever you want with the Frax, and hopefully the plan is you've got some strategies that will enable you to make money. The other thing that you could do is you could actually leverage your exposure to FXS this way as well, because what you could do is you could borrow the Frax, sell it for more FXS, lend that out again, borrow Frax, sell it for more FXS, repeat the cycle again and again, and you could probably leverage up maybe 3 or 4 times. So this is a way to do so. If you want a leveraged Frax Share exposure, you could do so here. We'll move on to Llama Air Force, and they have this auto compounder as well with FXS. So you can take a look at this. I'm not going to focus too much on Llama Air Force. And lastly, there is Pitch FXS. Again, I'm not going to focus too much on this, and that's because Pitch FXS is really severely off peg. So we're not going to focus too much on this, but we want to just keep an eye on perhaps over time, they make some changes, etc. We have a look at the Frax Wars. That's where we'll basically see some of these assets that we talked about. So we talked about Convex FXS. This is around 93% of the peg, so it's around 7% off peg. Similarly, Stakedao around 5.5%. Pitch FXS completely off peg, so I wouldn't even think about that for the time being. But important to just bear in mind these assets, because they have been at greater discounts in the past. I'm pretty sure I've seen Convex FXS at like 80% before. So yeah, just keep an eye on that, something to be aware of. But hopefully there we've got a few different strategies. There are more. You could go to maybe Beefy Finance or various other auto compounders to basically find more yields. If I do find any more, of course, I'll let you know. But I think these are just some of the good ones that we have available at the moment. For me, I think I'm a fan of not just one, but a variety of them. I think the traditional veFXS is always a good, stable way and safe way as well, because safety is something that's quite important. Remember, so all of these have different levels of smart contract risk, blockchain risk, etc. So please just be aware of those. So I like that. I'm a fan of Convex. I'm sure many of you know I'm a farmer, so I farm on Convex quite regularly. So Convex is somewhere that has been tried and tested, and for me, it's a good place to go. I like the Frax products as well. So something like Fraxlend as well. It gives you more flexibility, composability. You could do what you want. You choose the strategies, and if you earn yield, happy days. So I think those three are probably my favorite. But I've given you a few others to just take a look at and pick which ones you like. But please, please, please be aware of the risks, because these are not risk-free. There are many risks involved with some of these. And at times, it might just be better for you to just hold the vanilla FXS token in your ledger device. Don't touch it. Don't interact with anything, and sometimes that might be the best way. So I hope you found this video helpful. Smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, and of course I'll be back with plenty more videos in the near future.